I'm here with David from News Now Houston, and we're going to talk about murder of the Tuttles. I know we don't have any proof yet, but it sure looks like it. I mean, it looks like they murdered them. Why? I don't know. Was it just more notches in their book to get more fame and fortune and pay raises and grade raises, whatever? Was it a vendetta against these people for some reason? Whatever it was, we don't know yet. And we probably will never know, because the people that have the resources to really investigate it the way it should be are the ones that are hiding it. So we probably will never know. And if it was one of us that did anything even close to what those cops did, we'd be in jail. We'd have been arrested and put in jail. But they haven't arrested them. But I'm going to let David take it from the top. We're going to try to do a little about the whole story from beginning to end, from what we know now, and some of the updates that David just did a short time ago, yesterday or day before. So, David, there we go.
Okay, so when this first occurred, I actually took the side of HPD. HPD was announcing that, in the course of a drug raid, the people in the house had resisted and were armed and had shot it out with the police, basically. And I initially took the position that, that this is probably the truth and, blah, 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 blah. But then really, really fast, I began to find inconsistencies in the HPD story. Now, I'll also tell you that we have contacts, or I have contacts on the inside at HPD Narcotics. And based on what they have told me, over the course of the last couple of years, there are issues within the narcotics department at HPD. I've never been able to prove it, never been able to go after anybody there because they're so closed off and protected. But even the attorney that I use right now, John Landers, my criminal attorney, is handling cases, and some of them have been put on appeal, that the lead detective in the Tuttle case had handled. And even he is aware, and other defense attorneys are aware, that there are issues within that department, and specifically there have been a ton of issues raised about Detective Goines. This is not something new. This has been going for years, and he has been caught planting evidence before, and they still kept him in narcotics. So the shooting, HPD's initial version of the facts was that 2 weeks prior to the shooting, there had been a call out at the house. An anonymous caller called and said that her daughter was in the home doing drugs. And so a patrol unit came by, checked, and found nothing and left. But he notified narcotics that there was drug activity at the house. Detective Goines got put on it. It's in his district, and he got put on it. And he reportedly had gotten a confidential informant to go and make a drug buy at the house. That's how he got the warrant. Narcotics division shows up to run the warrant on the house, and a gunfight ensues. Both the Tuttles were killed, and 5 officers were injured or wounded. One was injured, twisted his knee, and fell, and 4 were wounded by gunfire. Now, as the story began to unravel, I immediately got on it. Started looking at the facts, I went over to the neighborhood. I talked to neighbors. I talked to people in the area, and they all said the same thing. This is a 2-lane street. There are deep ditches on either side. If there was drug sales going on at that house, it would be obvious. The vehicle traffic would just stand out. And I talked to a gentleman that was referred to me by one of the neighbors, that he sells drugs. I mean, that's what he does. And, and he right off the bat told me, he said that he sold them a little bit of weed here and there, but that's it. He said, and they are not drug dealers, that they used a little weed because she had cancer and was recovering from cancer, and she used the marijuana to mitigate the effects of the cancer treatment. And, you know, the guy seemed credible and honest to me. There was some confusion because this address matches another address that is actually does appear to be a drug house over off of Hardy Toll Road.
Isn't that right around the corner?
It's not far away. It's not far away. But
that's the one that you did the video on where it was fenced off and everything, and
yeah,
cameras.
Yeah, broken windows, boarded up. Yeah, expensive cars parked out front. As a matter of fact, while I was there, one of the neighbors came out and asked me, he said, "Hey, are you a cop?" And I said, "No." He said, "You look like a cop." I'm like, "I'm not a cop." He said, "You're taking pictures like a cop." I said, "Whatever, dude." He said, "Y'all gonna bust the drug house over there?" And I said, "I don't know anything about it," you know, and I walked off. But the story unraveled really quickly. And there were a lot of eyes on this very quickly. I talked to some of the other media stations here in the area. Some of these field reporters like me, because I don't have an editor standing over me telling me what I can and can't do, or a network lawyer standing over me telling me what I can and can't do. I can go do things that they can't do. And then they can report it, you know, because I got it.
Yeah.
So they had all been told to stay away from the other house, so I went over there. They were doing some good job as far as digging on other things.
Why were they told to stay away from the other house?
I don't,
because it would put doubt in people's minds that the police are.
Okay. Keep in mind now, some of these local stations are good about their level of integrity. All right, but keep in mind, if they want to get access to crime scenes and ongoing things when they're happening, they got to be on good terms with the police department.
Right, and that's just about any place you go.
Yeah,
with the local media, because that's not how they should be handling things. But
I agree.
They care more about money and views than they can do about the truth. So
yeah, but the sad truth is that if the police excluded them from crime scenes and stuff, that's fine. Let them. So we'll just step back, and when the police want us to report something, we won't do it. We have the control, not the police. You know, but you got to getting that message across to mainstream media is difficult. Anyhow, so the narrative was unraveling very quickly. And initially, HPD management, Art Acevedo, the chief, was doing a pretty good job about being transparent. I don't believe that he was knowingly and intentionally lying about the facts. I think that he was being fed the wrong information. But as time has gone on, it's becoming more and more obvious that he is complicit with what's going on. So the lead detective's name is Goines, and he has been an issue for a long time. He has an extensive history in narcotics, and an extensive history of bad cases and being caught planting evidence and things like that. Just basic misconduct. He should not have still been in narcotics after this.
Shouldn't
some
be
of the things.
A police officer.
Yeah, I agree, but for sure shouldn't be unleashed on the public in narcotics, given his history. So
he should be behind a desk, pushing papers.
Well, he's the one that went and got the warrant. Okay, and it's obvious. So HPD went and talked to the confidential informants that he said had done the buy. They denied any knowledge. So HPD went and talked to every confidential informant they have on the books, and none of them had done the buy. He lied about the buy. There was never a buy. There was really never any investigation. The guy just lied, got a warrant. They went, kicked in the door, and what happened. So Bryant is the secondary on this. And he is, I don't have a lot of information about him or his background, but if he's working with Goines, there's a good chance he's dirty. I mean, it's just how it is. So they got the warrant. They lied, falsified evidence, and went and got the warrant. They kicked in the door, and a shooting ensued. Goines was the first one through the door. He shot the Tuttles dog as it came towards him. And then at that point, all hell broke loose, and there was a big shootout. Now, initially, we were told that the HPD had recovered a .357 Magnum revolver, and that Dennis Tuttle had used that to wound the officers, blah, 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 blah. And that during the course of the shootout, Miss Tuttle, or actually her name is Rhogena Nichola, but we'll call her Miss Tuttle for the sake of this interview, so there's no confusion. She ran into the living room, went for a downed officer's weapon, and they shot and killed her.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the forensic evidence is saying otherwise.
Yeah, and that's part of what I want to get into, because that's the big update, but we're just trying to get it all in one place right now. So go ahead.
I'll send you the autopsy reports over to you.
Okay.
So that you can link them in this video. So the autopsy reports are really interesting. Well, let's go back. I'm getting ahead of myself now. So shooting ensues. They kill her for sure. And they come in, they extract their officers, and then they wait 2 hours to go in and clear the house. In that time, and there is video for this, a SWAT officer goes to a side window on the house back where Mr. Tuttle was downed at and fires 2 rounds through the window. Okay?
Right.
The belief is, and it's my belief, that they shot and killed Tuttle, or shot Tuttle to make sure he was dead.
Didn't one of the neighbors say that that's what happened? That's what, yeah.
She's the one that got the video. There's video of this. Okay. And that video has been released. It's online. So then they go in, of course, Tuttle's dead, Miss Tuttle's dead, end of story. So we get the autopsy results back, and of course there is no cocaine or heroin in their system. And there's no gunshot residue on Mr. Tuttle's hands. Okay.
That's what I was going to ask, because it's something that you said yesterday, but I didn't get why the independent investigator was saying there was no evidence of Mr. Tuttle shooting, and that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. So go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, had he fired any shots, there'd be gunshot residue, and there is no gunshot residue listed in the autopsy. There was a handgun recovered at the scene. However, that doesn't mean it's his. Houston Police Department is known for throwing down guns at shooting scenes. They are known for this.
Was the pistol that Mr. Tuttle supposed to have, was it a semi-auto or revolver?
.357 Magnum revolver.
All right, so there would definitely been plenty of residue, because if anybody knows about guns, revolvers expand a lot of gunpowder out through the
cylinder gap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So there's no gunshot residue on his hands. There are now when I checked the house, I thought that there were 2 medium caliber bullet holes in one of the walls, and so I believed that he had fired some rounds. But the expert, and I'm going to defer to the expert, says that there are 0 .38 caliber holes in any walls there. There are 2 calibers, and 3 calibers. 12 gauge shotgun that was fired towards the floor. 5.56, which is out of a AR-15 platform weapon, bullet holes, and 45 auto bullet holes. That's it. No 38, 357, 38 and 357 are the same thing.
Right. The same caliber, just different gunpowder loads.
Well, yeah, they just call them different things to differentiate between them. But, the bullet size is the same. It's 357, Anyway, the only way that Tuttle could have fired any shot, and it not be a bullet hole in the wall, is if it was stuck in an officer. So we're waiting to see what they pulled out of the officers, if anything. At this point, I'm going to defer to the expert and say that Tuttle didn't fire nothing.
That sounds like there's pretty good evidence that he didn't fire if there's no residue. That's, to me, that if I was on a jury, I would say that's it. That's enough right there. Because there's no way he couldn't have, as far as I'm concerned. And my experience with guns, and I have a lot of experience with especially revolvers.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know what I know. Like I said, that blast that comes out in that cylinder, especially if you're shooting Magnum rounds, is unbelievable. There's no way, even if just one shot, no way you don't have GSR on your hands.
Yeah.
So anyway, they They send in the evidence technicians. Those evidence technicians were in that house for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, documenting the shooting scene, extracting bullets, gathering evidence, blah, 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 blah.
Ignoring evidence.
And yet the independent evidence or independent forensics guy came in there and recovered what he calls mountains of evidence, mountains of unrecovered bullets, shell casings, all this stuff. And that in and of itself is pretty damning.
Right. So I think your opinion of the police chief has changed since from the beginning of this investigation until now.
Yeah, it has changed quite a bit. So, he had enough evidence to terminate Goines and Bryant both. The fact that they lied on their affidavits to get those warrants was sufficient to fire them. Instead, he allowed them to retire with full benefits and full pay. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. That's the good old boy, thin blue line covering for itself.
Yeah, and the FBI won't do anything about it either. They should investigate, but they probably won't investigate unless the police department asks them to.
The police department has brought the FBI in. They are doing an investigation.
Okay.
But for what? Okay, so the reason that the crime scene unit people screw up crime scene is so that when it comes time to prosecute, that prosecution is difficult or impossible to accomplish.
Right.
Basically it's more covering for their own by covering up the evidence.
This kind of case is not uncommon, especially in big police departments in towns where there's a lot of drugs stuff going on, and especially in the narcotics divisions of police departments. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. The problem is it's difficult to prove. But in this instance, I will tell you that this shooting is going to cause more changes in American law enforcement than anything that's happened in the last 30 years, anything since Waco. Okay? The effects are already being felt. No-knock warrants are being pushed out so rapidly now that you can't keep track. They're going to the what they call the surround warrants. Basically, they run a SWAT team out there or a tactical team, surround the house, kill the water, kill the electric, and holler for everybody to come out and surrender. And the good thing about that is most of the time they come out and surrender. Nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
But no-knock warrants is very common for people to get hurt.
No-knock warrants is permission to murder without cause.
Yeah.
It's basically we hired you to kill people. Here's your paperwork to go kill people.
Well, my opinion on no-knock warrants is this. There are times when no-knock warrants are appropriate. Okay, you got a guy that's armed to the teeth that is threatening to kill people and stuff like, hey, I got it. Yeah. I got it. Okay, but
if they're known to be violent and that's what they're there for, and they're known to be armed and dangerous with some proof, not just say so. Yes.
Right. Yeah. But to just use them for every situation willy-nilly, no, we don't need to be doing that.
Judges do all the time. We saw it in Leon Valley.
Yeah.
The judge just rubber stamped it and didn't bother to look. Of course, he got mad once he found out that it was lies on there, but he didn't bother to look. So
and that's what they had in this instance as well. It's just they didn't even use a judge. Okay, they went to a city magistrate, which is just a paid judge. Okay, it's a guy they hire to run court for the city.
Yep.
And they're supposed to go to a criminal courts judge, and a criminal courts judge who is an elected official will look at this stuff closer, because if he screws it up, he's going to he stands a good chance of getting voted out of office. They don't want that.
Right.
But a city magistrate, what's going to happen?
Nothing.
No
accountability, just like we see with the police. There's hardly any accountability. And when there is, let's let them, retire or quit so they can go get another job someplace else.
Well, and so that's what they did with Goines and Bryant. They let them retire. They got all their benefits, their pay, and even if they get prosecuted, they still got their stuff.
Yeah.
So it's all about taking care of the criminal cop instead of taking care of business.
Yeah,
Instead
well,
of
I'm going to
taking
be
care of the
putting their name in the description. I don't know what the title is going to be. I haven't really come up with a good title yet, but they're going to be, their names are going to be in the description, because I want, when somebody does a search, to check up on these. If they get hired someplace else, I want people
they will not be hired anyplace else.
Well, I want to make sure of that. I'm going to do my best to make sure.
No, they are persona non grata.
Yeah, if they're not hired someplace else, some security agency will probably hire them.
Yeah, they may get something like that going.
Yeah. And they pay a lot of money there at some of those places. So
sure, but no PD is going to touch them. No PD will touch them now.
They
are hot potatoes. Now, after all this occurred, HPD, there was a lot of talk about how they went in and were searching Bryant's desk and Goines' desk and searching their vehicles. They found undocumented drugs on on Goines after the raid. It's hidden in his vest, which were throwdown drugs.
Yeah.
They found undocumented drugs in his vehicle, undocumented cash in his vehicle, and I believe they found a number of guns, but I don't know if those were accounted for or not as being documented or undocumented.
And see, and that right there is enough to arrest him. He's had illegal drugs. That's right there is enough to arrest him, prosecute him, and probably convict him because they had the evidence.
Yep, and it's enough to fire him.
Yeah.
Not let him take retirement.
He should have been fired and then prosecuted.
I agree. But they got to protect them and look out for their own.
Yeah,
and it's bullshit.
Blue ISIS.
It's bullshit.
Yep. It pisses me off.
This will be the largest, and even Acevedo has said this. This case will be cause for the largest payout, very probably in the history of law enforcement in North America.
And I want to remind every Acevedo is the one that anybody that wants to hold police accountable is a target after that.
No, that wasn't Acevedo that said that. That was the Joe Grimaldi from.
Grimaldi. Yeah, I'm sorry. I get his name screwed up sometimes. Yeah. But Grimaldi, or however you pronounce it. That piece.
Yeah, he had another dirtbag, thrown out of New York. I shouldn't say thrown out, but he's with the police union and he comes from New York. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Oh yeah, that can tell you a lot right there. All right, there was another thing. You got to the drugs that were found, the illegal drugs that the cop had, but there was the thing about the dog, where the dog was found, and it sounded to me like that dog was too far away. If you're in a house, and it was a small house, and that dog was 15 feet away, he was on the other side of the house. Where could he have charged?
Okay, so that room, that front living room, from the front door to the hallway door, I'm going to estimate at a distance of 20 feet. He was 15 feet from the officer when he was shot. So he was still a good distance away, but he wasn't that far. I mean, a dog covered 15 feet really quick.
But your reaction time, and I know this, I know what reaction time, even if you have a gun in your hand and you're ready to shoot, that's a very fast reaction time just to shoot. You don't even bother.
They knew they had the dog. They knew about the dog. They had been watching the house from down the street. There's a parking lot down there. They had been parked down there, and the Tuttles walk their dog frequently. So they knew that they had the dog. But when they went through that door, they were ready. They were going to shoot that dog no matter what, right off the get. That's why the first guy through the door was Goines, and he was armed with a shotgun to kill the dog.
Yeah, even if that dog didn't charge, which to me, that's what I'm saying. If it's only 20 feet away and the dog was, 20 feet room to run, that 5 feet, we don't even know. He would have had to been against the wall to even say he had 5 feet to charge.
Well, and there's no evidence to support the fact that the dog was charging. The dog could have just been laying there, and when they kicked the door in, just looked at him like they were silly, and they shot him.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Dog could have been running from him.
Could have been.
Could have scared the shit out of the dog, and the dog ran away. And like you said, they were going to shoot the dog no matter what.
Yeah, they'd already determined that they were going to shoot that dog no matter what.
Yeah. I just kind of wanted to point that out because it's another small piece of information to go along with the rest of them. And those small pieces of information can be more important than people think sometimes.
It all adds up in the end.
Yeah.
You have to look at the totality of the picture, not just bits and pieces of it. Look at everything as a whole.
All right. So was there any other information in the private investigators stuff that came up? And I know there's some information they're withholding. Do we have any idea of what they're withholding?
Yes, but I can't tell you.
Okay.
I can't go into it. There is some very, very interesting information based off of, let's see, how can I put this? Blood spatter patterns and bullet holes that were in the floor, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
there
right.
should be no bullet holes in the floor other than the shotgun pattern where they shot the dog. And there are at least 2 5.56 holes. Well, I'll just say it. 2 5.56 holes in the floor where Tuttle's body was.
All right. So if you know of some of this information that you can't share right now, the others will. So they won't be able to cover that up. It will come out sooner or later, it sounds like.
It'll end up being put out for the district attorney. They'll probably hand a report over to district attorney, and it'll all be used in a civil suit. They may or may not hand it off to the FBI. I don't know.
And the civil suit won't do shit to any of the police officers involved. It'll just
City of Houston will pay it all.
Oh yeah.
And the detectives involved, Goines and Bryant, it's not going to cost them a penny. The police union will pay for their lawyers.
Oh yeah.
And their bond.
Even if they were fired, they'd still probably find a way to pay for it by donations from friends of the.
Well, no, even if they're fired, the union would still pay for their lawyers and all that. That's all. It's all covered.
I thought there was maybe a way that they can't pay under certain circumstances, but I'm not. I don't know. I was just, one of those things I was thinking in my head.
Yeah,
I've never really been involved with that side of things. So,
yeah, it's crazy. The whole situation is crazy, and the lack of repercussions on the people that did wrong is shocking.
Yeah,
shocking.
Pretty much none.
Well, and Acevedo's promised that, by the end of April, we'd have his report, the HPD Internal Affairs report. Well, here we are all, 2-3 weeks later, nothing.
Today's the 17th? Nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else that interesting information in the story that we need to get out, or we pretty much covered it?
I believe that's it.
Okay. All right. Are you expecting anything more anytime soon?
The district attorney has said that she's going to the grand jury with this case the 1st of June. So
okay. We'll see how that
probably, a week, 10 days into June, if they're going to do anything, that's when it'll happen. It should be, at the very least, manslaughter charges.
All right.
But, we would hope for some kind of murder charge, but more likely it'll be manslaughter.
Yeah.
If it's anything less than manslaughter, it's bullshit. If they come up with some official oppression charge or something like that, it's bullshit.
Or they will press charges for manslaughter and try not to win.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen that before as well.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have seen that before. We've in Houston area.
Yep.
All right, so, okay, we're going to close it off there, and this is PNP News with David, News Now Houston. Basically just trying to put the story all in one place with the updates from David got yesterday. And
I'll send you over the autopsy reports, and you can link them so that people can look at the actual autopsy reports, which are interesting and eye-opening in and of themselves.
Okay.
Look at the bullet wounds. The bullet wounds tell a story.
Yeah, they usually do. Especially if you know what you're reading and looking at.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, David. I appreciate you coming by. And everybody, will see y'all next time.